return of Godzilla. We are finally here at the Heisei era of the Godzilla films. The Return of Godzilla was released in 1984, 30 years after Godzilla first arrived on screen, and oh boy, this was sorely needed. The box office receipts for Terror of Mechagodzilla could best be described as, nah, you're good. So basically, Toho retired Godzilla for a good decade or close to a decade. There was there was plans to try and reboot Godzilla sooner than they did. However, they never materialized. In 1977, they wanted to do a movie called The Rebirth of Godzilla. And there was also a pitch to do what was called Godzilla versus the Devil. I don't know if the devil possesses a giant monster and attacks Godzilla, or the devil grows to Godzilla's size and attacks Godzilla. I don't know, but that sounds awesome. What ultimately ended up happening was producer Tomoyuki Tanaka basically taking a back to basics approach with Godzilla. Heavy on anti-nuclear themes, heavy on anti-war themes, especially in the wake of the 3 Mile Island incident, also in the fact that the Cold War was still a thing, and also drawing heavy inspirations from movies like John Carpenter's The Thing. What we end up getting is more than a return to form. Not perfect by any means, but definitely the best Godzilla movie that I've watched in about a week. The biggest negative that I do have with this movie, instead of saying the biggest positive, I'll just say the biggest negative. The biggest negative that I have with the movie are the human characters. The main human characters are not really that memorable. I actually had to look up what the main dude was. He was actually a journalist. And even after seeing this, I was like, what was he again? Oh, yeah, he was a journalist. So these movies continue to suffer with the problem of these humans are about as interesting as this cup that I'm drinking out of. There are some good human characters, though, especially the Prime Minister of Japan. He has a couple of really good scenes. But outside of that, though, yeah, the humans are just kind of there, really. However, the star of the show is Godzilla, and Godzilla wrecks shop. He goes whole hog on everybody. One thing that I did love about this movie, among the many things, is that Godzilla is basically stripped of all humanity that was built up from All Monsters Attack and Godzilla versus Megalon. He is back to square one, bare bones. Godzilla is a product of nuclear war, and he is out to just destroy everything. And he is downright terrifying in this. There are some scenes where I'm like, yeah, you people just need to leave. Like, oh, it's already too late. Maybe it's because this movie is fresh in the head, or maybe it's just because I love it so much. But I saw a lot of parallels, whether intentional or otherwise, between this and Godzilla Minus One. The movie even starts out with a sole survivor waking up on a dilapidated fishing boat saying that he saw something that he cannot explain. Kind of similar to the opening of Godzilla Minus One. And let me just say that I'm not saying that Godzilla Minus One ripped off The Return of Godzilla. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is that there are just some very, just play the Spider-Man 3 clip,
Similar.
themes and ideas in both movies. That's what I'm going for. It also really helps things that the action in this movie is just outstanding. Some of the ending, the parts at the end where Godzilla fights the main villain, just laying waste to Tokyo, and especially worse considering the fact that it's in the mid 80s where you got skyscrapers now that are taller than Godzilla. Man, it just rules so hard. So outside of forgettable humans for the most part, this movie was a breath of fresh air. I'm going to give it a great rating, but a high great rating. I love the Mechagodzilla movies. However, I love them for different reasons. They're very campy and cheesy, and it definitely leans into, well, they're basically a symptom of the grander problem with Godzilla basically becoming a cartoon character by this point. I love the Return of Godzilla for different reasons. It's basically a revamped and 80s-ized version of the original Godzilla. It's hyped up in every considerable way, and it's a movie in the Godzilla canon that I don't hear get talked about a lot. And I feel like that's a bit of a shame. So if you can find it, watch it. But have you seen The Return of Godzilla? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to read what you have to say. And stay tuned for Saturday, where we're going to be talking about the unfortunate sequel to the 1976 King Kong, King Kong Lives.